Hello. Shinrin-yoku and the world. Have you ever seen someone in a wheelchair or in a hospital bed and felt a pang of sympathy for them? If you have felt empathy for another, I would urge you to consider the implications of an all-natural, feel better technique. I have seen my loved ones and relatives go into hospital bed and never recover. Having said that, I have scoured the resources available for something that would help the mobilized and immobilized alike. What I found was Shinrin-yoku, or forest bathing. Shinrin-yoku, literally forest bathing, is a cost-effective, environmentally friendly way to positively impact our whole society. Shinrin-yoku is capable of helping immobilized veterans who suffer from PTSD without medications or surgery. Shinrin-yoku is an environmentally friendly and cost-effective method of group relaxation or stress relief. Shinrin-yoku is capable of benefiting the human race for decades to come when it comes to playing the long game. With this in mind, let's dive into the virtual aspect of Shinrin-yoku and its profound effects on the body and mind. Virtual Shinrin-yoku has proven to be a potential staple for veterans who are immobilized and or can't look out a window or visit a forest in person. To cement this idea, I'd like to draw your attention to a passage written by Naomi Lubik, an editor at the Nature Scientist web journal in 2013. Robert Stone, a psychologist and engineer at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital in Birmingham, spent 9 years in the defense industry and became interested in such green therapy after seeing firsthand that highly realistic virtual reality could ease the symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder in soldiers returning from battle zones. When he discovered the pile of evidence for the restorative powers of nature, he realized he could recreate many natural environments for bedridden patients in intensive care, including people recovering from amputations and others whose conditions precluded even window views, which intensive care units often cannot have. Stone's virtual Shinrin-yoku makes use of large flat-screen plasma displays positioned around the hospital bed. Using joysticks, the volunteers can navigate around a meticulous reconstruction of a 5 square kilometer patch of Wembury Bay, which is near the hospital. I can the privilege of drawing a small diagram of it here. Very nice. And you can see the little trees around it. There's a car going by versus the natural scenery. Stone, however, maintains that a virtual environment isn't a cure-all or a get-out-of-jail-free card for immobilized patients or hospitals. In fact, Stone has cited concerns that hospitals may use virtual environments as a way out of having to provide natural resources to disabled patients or patients at all. Even though Stone believes the virtual Shinrin-yoku may be twisted into a pernicious precedent, they still maintain that virtual environments can be used to help those who otherwise cannot fend for themselves through access to green scenery. It's been shown how virtual Shinrin-yoku can help those who would be left helpless without nature. However, for those who can move throughout the world, Shinrin-yoku provides an extremely effective way of dealing with mental stress. People show aesthetic, emotional, and physiological responses to scenes of natural landscapes. People have grown alongside forests since before immigration from Africa. As such, it is considered feasible that strong positive associations were encoded within our ancestors to feel at ease within a forest setting. To further elaborate, I'd like to invite your attention to this passage written by Bunjin Park of Chungnam National University during 2008. When people have contact with nature and feel relaxed, This response can be attributed to the fact that humans evolved in a dependent relationship with the natural forests that surrounded them. Wilson hypothesized that the evolution of the human brain in a natural setting built in powerful tendencies to pay attention to aspects of nature that at one time had significant consequences for survival and procreation. Orions and Heerwagen suggested that during the human evolutionary process, which is presumed to have taken place in the savannas of tropical Africa, natural selection favored individuals who were motivated to explore and settle in environments likely to afford the necessities of life, and to avoid environments with poorer resources or that posed higher risks. Appleton said that aesthetic pleasure in landscape derives from the observer experiencing an environment favorable to the satisfaction of his biological needs. For this reason, contact with real nature has a significant association with relaxation. Within this context, Shinrin-yoku, first coined in 1982 by the Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry, and Fisheries in Japan, can be used as a process in which activities in forest environments are used to improve people's mental and physical health. Using physical indices, researchers such as Park were able to discern that forest environments have positive effects on patients dealing with stress in a 2008 study. Indicators such as hemoglobin concentrations in the prefrontal areas of the brain showed that patients scheduled to view a forest setting had lower stress than patients scheduled for an urban setting, which indicates a selective link to decreased stress pertaining to patients who had an awareness of time which would be spent in a forest environment. The concentration of cortisol, which is a stress hormone, and blood pressure were also significantly decreased in those who viewed the forest environment. Furthermore, I'd like to share with you another quote from Boom-Jin, which reads, "Based on the pulse rate and salivary cortisol concentration reported in our study, subjects felt more relaxed when watching the forest setting than when watching the city setting. These values showed that Shinrin-yoku had a significant relaxation effect on the human body. Virtual Shinrin-yoku can help people who would be left in the dark with regards to a healthy technique to heal from shell shock. We've also been shown how forest settings can be used for stress relief on a global scale. There are also far-reaching implications for Shinrin-yoku when one considers playing the long game. Nobody likes to lose, but everybody likes to gain. With that in mind, there are profound effects that Shinrin-yoku provides psychologically and universally across the whole spectrum of mankind. 90 minutes in a forest setting reduces rumination, which is a telltale sign of depression and anxiety. After a walk in a park, kids with ADHD were able to concentrate substantially better than those who'd walked in either an urban environment or a neighborhood area. There are exceptional health increases for those who partake in forest bathing. With this in mind, I'd like to introduce to you another quote from Naomi Lubik, a journalist during 2013. "Japanese researchers have found a host of benefits after observing people in the practice of Shinrin-yoku. Heart rate slowed, levels of the stress hormone cortisol dropped, and blood pressure was significantly lower than when measured in the city. But that wasn't all. A battery of heart and stress tests revealed that the autonomic and central nervous systems, as well as the endocrine and immune systems, were all positively affected, as demonstrated by the European Journal of Applied Physiology. Another group in Japan found that Shinrin-yoku boosted the immune system by increasing the production of natural killer cells, a kind of white blood cell that responds to viruses and tumors." Naomi further illustrates, children with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder who played in natural settings for 20 minutes, for example, experienced a boost in mental focus equivalent to that of taking a single dose of ADHD medication. To further illustrate the far-reaching benefits of the implementation of Shinrin-yoku, please allow me to invite your attention to a quote from Alexandria Sifferlin, health and science journalist from the Time magazine during 2016. An April 2016 study published in the journal Environmental Health Perspectives reported that women living in areas of vegetation had a 12% lower risk of death from all causes compared with people in the least green places. And that's a significant drop in mortality if you're one of those people in the 12% or one of your loved ones is. And that 12% compounds over the years, and cultures are exponentially impacted by this. As Shinrin-yoku is an environmentally friendly, cost-effective way to positively increase the quality of life for all societies and worldwide cultures, it makes sense to implement it. Shell-shocked and disabled vets are afforded a uniquely pain-free way to feel relief. Stress levels for all members of communities with access to Shinrin-yoku are reduced, producing an overall higher quality of life which compounds. Health standards for generations are positively impacted, meaning more people can live in and enjoy the higher standards of living and the better communities made available to them. While we are sitting or standing here, Shinrin-yoku is happening all around us. It's time to make a change and embrace the idea of forestry and forest bathing as a worldwide cultural phenomenon for the least supported, for everyone alive, and for future generations. Thank you.